there's a low representation of people of color in the STEM field. So my goal is to try to bring awareness by bringing people onto this show to talk about what they're doing and what are the opportunities that are available, not only towards college, but also towards career in STEM. Recently, I sent out an information. I shared an information on LinkedIn and anyone I can talk to. Do you know the median salary for people with career in STEM is $91,000? When we look at our population as a minority in the United States, we make up about 15% of the population. But the number of minorities in the STEM is really low. Sometimes I wonder if we are leaving money on the table. This is something that we need to discuss in our community. I like to think of it this way. All hands now should be on the deck. So today I have a pleasure of inviting Dr. Ronelus. If I really butcher your name, please correct me.
You did well, man. You did great.
Okay. Dr. Ronelus is a biochemist by trade, but I'll let him introduce himself. But currently, he's a chief metaphase scientist and an officer. He's also a consultant in learning about engineering, curriculum design. He knows everything that needs to be known. Okay,
I'm learning
technology.
Yeah,
so he knows about a lot about blockchain, cryptocurrency, STEM curriculum design. But I will let him introduce himself and tell you a little bit about himself. And he has a studio in our community called Alchemist Club Studio.
Thank you, brother.
Man, that is really very impressive. Dr. Ronelus, go ahead, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
All right, awesome. Appreciate it. My name is Dr. Ronelus. You could call me Dr. R, as all my students do. My background, I'll keep it simple and elegant. I am a learning scientist, and I came to this title because this is what actually fit in the overall arching theme of who I am. Beyond that, my background, as Dr. Ayo informed you, it's in the real heavy duty physical sciences in biochemistry and molecular genetics. So in regards to how I got myself up in the world of education, I'll put it this way. I practically left the world of research. I was, as an undergrad, doing research in molecular biology. My goal was to go pursue an MD PhD degree, and I did work at NIH actually. At the Human Genome Project, I was one of the people that got selected at the the undergraduate level to pursue that kind of degree as a minority. But in the process of going through that track, it was something we will discuss in a few, I decided to go into education. And the reason for that was very simple. Instead of me just being exceptionalist as a one person that someone can look at, say, oh my goodness, here's Dr. Ronelus, an MD PhD guy who made it in the world as a molecular geneticist. Here he is, maybe the top physician scientist in the world. I decided to go into education and raise 100,000 little me. And that's what I've done in the New York City Board of Education, which is the largest school system in the nation. As we proceed in this Socratic dialogue I'm going to have with Dr. Ayo, we will discuss these things. But in a snapshot, this is me. In regards to the blockchain, yes, I am heavily involved in that world. I've been in the blockchain world for a long time. I dub myself the chief metaverse scientist because that's what I am. And I've earned the title because I have the knowledge to hold that title. So thank you, Dr. Ayo.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ronel. really appreciate that. And that is a nice introduction, succinct, elegant, as you have said. One of the things that I notice is both you and I have a lot in common.
Yeah.
The last research institution that I worked at as a contract biologist, actually at NIH 2004.
Mm-hmm.
When I left, and of course, I went directly into education. I also have a biochemistry background. I'm also a molecular biologist, just like you are,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So when we come to genetic engineering, I think we have a little bit in common.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your journey going from college? Let's say and the reason why I ask is there may be a young person within our community that may be interested in pursuing a degree in, let's say, in biochemistry.
Yes.
So how did you decide or end up deciding that, okay, you want to be a biochemist and eventually you want to do research in biochemistry? And maybe you can touch upon,
Sure.
What it would really take for a young generation to follow your footsteps and even do better than you.
Oh, totally. That would be an honor to talk about that. Whew. My journey started in an abyss of a black hole where I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. And I always say this before I continue. I always say that our people are destroyed by the lack of knowledge. Growing up in a junior high school and beyond, I really had no information as to career choices. Even in high school, I ended up in Thomas Jefferson High School, which is in East New York, 400 Pennsylvania Avenue. And I ended up picking that school because of the name of the president, Thomas Jefferson. I happened to read a little bit about him and thought that I'm going to end up in heaven. Excuse my language there. I end up, 1989, I end up in hell at Jeff. That was my experience. It was a total chaos. This, as a result of Thomas Jefferson, that's one of the reasons why metal detectors were starting to be placed in schools because of how crazy it was there. So I went to those 4 years of, it's just a battlefield, but it's not the community, it's just there's certain dynamic forces at play that led a school to end up this way. So to make a long story short, I barely graduate Thomas Jefferson, we call it Jeff. I end up with a 68 average, but I'll tell you one thing. I remember I had a professor named Dr. Kaufman, and I used to come to class every day late in his bio class. And one day he pulled me aside. He said, "Son, I need to talk to you." He said, "You know what? There are two kinds of people in this world. You have some people, no matter how hard they try, they just don't have the gift for certain things. But you're just naturally gifted in biology. Don't waste your talent away." And I'm telling you, I was in 11th grade. It just hit me so hard. I said, why did he say that? And quite honestly, when I graduated high school, I barely survived and made it out. I applied to a bunch of schools. No school accepted me. I end up only one, Bronx Community College. I remember my dad at one point, out of frustration with what I put him through, he told me straight up, "You done, you finished, what are you going to do with your life? You do nothing, you're nobody, because you don't want to learn anything in school." And it hurts. So I remember, Dr. Ayo, the first day of orientation at Bronx Community College, I remember me sitting in that auditorium. And the gentleman that was giving the speech, he said, "It doesn't matter where you came from, how hard your past has been, this is a new beginning. You could change here and change the world." I cried like a baby that day, and I made a decision, I made a vow to my heart. I would change my life forever. So I did a 2-year degree in horticulture because I wanted to go heavily into agronomy because I wanted to feed the world. My mind has always been about helping humanity. I graduated from Bronx Community College. I moved over to Lehman College to pursue that degree, went there, got a BA in biology, focusing more on plant genetics. And I realized I'm really getting into this science, and the science just happened for me naturally, but it wasn't easy. I want to clear something up for the young folks who are coming up so you can understand the tenacity you need in order to succeed in these fields. It's not impossible, but it's a lot of hard work. So after I graduate, I went back, got a second degree in biochemistry there. And then I went and I did throughout the years there, I was doing some serious work in the molecular biology lab. Now, in the process of doing all of that, I decided that I wanted to pursue science on a heavy level. When I got into the molecular genetics lab, I realized when I was doing molecular genetics as a course that I need to go into research. And my focus was going to be on sickle cell anemia, because I know this, as we all know, this genetic disorder is a disease that impacts a lot of people of African descent.
Yeah.
The genetic construct of where that gene is and all of that stuff, but that is another story. That disease was used in a way as a workhorseman to find cure to many other molecular related issues, but lack of fundings and there all kinds of issues led to people with sickle cell anemia still suffering out here. But that's another story for another time. Now, I want to add something here.
Yes, please.
For the young folks who are out here, listen to this. My story, I am one of the products who made it out there. It's a miracle, but miracle is without work, there's no success. Like Frederick Douglass says, without a struggle, there can be no progress. So I don't care where you came from, what hardship you've had in your life, there's nothing that can stop you from accomplishing what you have to do. In the sciences, it's a question of structure and discipline. If you know you have an exam coming in biology or chemistry or physics, those subjects, there's no joke. You got to put the time in. Sometimes I used to study a concept 100,000 times before I get it. Dr. Ayo was the same thing. Yes. Certain core concepts we're trying to learn in the sciences is not something just open the book, you read the chapter or the section, you get it. You got to ponder on it, especially now you kids have Google, you have all of these different heavy search engines you can use for that kind of learning. So from there, I'm just going to skip ahead. I went there, got my degrees, went to Columbia, did some work there. I went to Brooklyn College. I grabbed a master's degree in education. And I grabbed a couple other degrees along the way. And I end up at the end, because I always knew I wanted to be a scholar and authority in my field. I end up at Pace University, where I did a doctorate in computing in education. And as far as teaching is concerned, I've been in the New York City Board of Education system for 23 years now.
Wow.
And throughout those years, my friend, I have students right now who might be listening to me sitting at Harvard, Princeton, MIT, Yale, wherever. They pass through my hand to the Alchemist Club Studios from elementary school, and we keep a system where from elementary to middle school to high school to college, where we have a network where we keep in touch with all the learners that pass through our hand. I'll my journey.
Oh man, I love that, and we're going to touch more on that.
Of course,
about what you're doing in the Alchemist Studio.
Totally.
So now I have another question though. You are unique, maybe not unique, because you grew up in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And some will argue that it's easy for you. Probably you got all the resources and all the supports and all that. What advice will you give to anyone that is struggling? Maybe.
Let me tell you.
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you something. Resources. I went through college without even one textbook.
Wow.
Let me tell you again. Resources. The biology, when I took Bio 101 at Bronx Community College, the textbook was $125. My dad looked at me, he asked me if I'm insane. Where he's gonna find this kind of money? I used to go to the library. I borrowed a book for 2-3 hours, and I had to quickly figure out the chapter, the subsection that I need to understand, and then figure it out. There was no Google and all of that stuff. I'm talking about what, 1992, guys.
Wow.
All right. So I'm aging myself here.
Things are different now.
Oh man, these kids have everything. Resources. The only class in my undergrad, I had access to buy a book. Actually, I did not buy it. The only class I ended up having a book for was physics. And how did that happen? I met this lady who was a working person coming back to school. She was doing her regular job, but she wanted to go to be a nurse. And I met her in physics 101, fundamentals of physics.
Wow.
And I was tutoring her without a book. I used to go and sit with her at library to help her. There's a point she reached where it was so much for her, she just had to drop the class. And I begged her not to, I would help her. She's telling me, Johnny, you know what? Oh my goodness, you could have my textbook. I said, are you serious? She said,
wow.
You're gonna make it one day. She said, I want you to always remember that I gave you, I still have that physics textbook right
here, God.
With her name on it. She gave me her book. That was I'm telling you right now, that was the only book I had in my possession, as I know I have a book. This only book I ever bought with my money was my biochemistry book, because at that point, I was a student of the MBRS program. It's a government program funded by the NIH. It's called a Minority Biomedical Research Program. By then, I had a little check coming to me. So I was able to buy the biochemistry book, which I still have here, VOET, V-O-E-T, one of the best biochemistry textbooks anyone can read. That's how I made it through it. Resources, there was none.
Wow.
I raised myself by my own bootstrap, and I'm not special in any capacity. The thing we need to get rid of, especially in the BIPOC community, we have to reject the notion of exceptionalism. Here's the first Black person to do this. Here's the first Black person to do that. That is a dangerous cancer. The reason it is because once you get into that mind state, then it's like nature create a freak of society who's a cerebral genius who only by miracle happened to get to where he or she is. Then it accept your whole race out of that. You cannot accept that. What I have done is nothing special. All it takes is hard work and perspiration, and anyone can accomplish that. Okay. That is the truth, brother.
Excellent. I think my takeaway from that is hard work and perseverance.
Yes.
But is there any other advice that you can offer for the young?
Of course.
The young generation that are in really our situation, especially in our community.
Totally.
You got the peer pressure. Then
I got you, man.
Then you have to work to put food on the table, and you have to assist parents. All these different priorities coming at you.
I'll hit you up this way. I grew up at 287 Linden Boulevard. Anyone that know Brooklyn, you know where I'm at. Okay, wow. Right off East Flatbush. I seen it all. To go inside my building after school, you gotta be ready to go to a war zone, or you might not make it home. That's how I grew up. Hard time, I've seen hard time. I know hard time. I get that. What it is though, for the young people out here and everyone else in between, is a question of tenacity, man. You have got to be disciplined. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. These days, for example, a lot of kids are taking the hybrid courses where you take your classes online, or you go to school and then you take half of it, whatever, or fully. If you are not a disciplined person to know that you have this whole freedom, nobody's gonna bother you, you're taking a class online and virtual, you're gonna wait the last minute to study, you are setting yourself up for failure. What has to happen, it has to come from your heart. You have to reach a point where you know you want this for yourself. The content in science, it will come to you with try and try again. And I'm telling you, when you study physics, for example, there's certain concepts, especially when you're getting into modern physics and quantum mechanics.
Yes.
The concept of a wave mechanic, a wave function, Schrödinger's equation, this stuff, you could spend 30 years trying to understand these things, and you may never fully grasp these concepts like Maxwell's equations. I spent 30 years understanding Maxwell's equations. It's now I finally begin to crack and understand these wave mechanics and what they really mean. So what I'm trying to get you guys to understand, those of you who really want to get into the sciences, if that's your thing, you have to constantly put your mind there for the love and the passion of the content. You got to have a love for knowledge, man. It's not about you doing it for a job. If you're thinking of it like that, you're in the wrong field. The sciences, it has to have a love of learning, a love of understanding nature, understand the universe. And we all have that innate ability in us as children to discover and explore. And one thing I detest with education systems, we start the science learning process too late. Why do we have to wait till the kid is in high school or middle school to introduce them to the love and the passion of science? We have to do better by introducing that at a very young age. That's why I left the high school levels. I was teaching there. I left the middle school level and I went way down the rabbit hole to elementary school where I'm teaching pre-K.
Wow, really?
The love of science. So Dr. O, when you do that, what you've done is you change the nature of what science is. You change the narrative. So the learner doesn't see it as something that's impossible. In that way, you capture those young minds who has the latent potential to be anything they want to be, to no longer fear science. And if they don't want to become a professional scientist, that's okay. But you know what you have done for them? You have instilled a value of them to become citizen scientists that are well-informed,
wow,
that cannot be nudged away. It's nudging culture that's heading our way.
So that actually leads me to the next question. And the question is how parents can actually play a role. Because you did mention that you had the option of teaching in high school, in the secondary school, but you decide to go to the elementary school level. And we know the parents are really fired up when their children are in the elementary school, but you're an educator, I am, and we all know as we move up to secondary school, parents' involvement start diminishing.
Yeah.
So as parents, especially within our community, what advice will you give to parents to help their children continue with the passion and the interest in STEM?
Okay. For parents, man, let me tell you parents something. I've been teaching for 23 years at the elementary school level, and I teach other places for other times. One thing of the most joyful thing I've seen is when you watch a pre-K or an elementary level parent walking that child to school that first day, you can see the joy, the hope, and the love, because every parent on this planet wants the best for their child or their children. We all know that's true. So what happened though, you reach a point after elementary school, especially in certain area, people label ghetto or whatever, right? People just drop the wheel. All hands off, not on deck now, all hands off deck, where by the time the kids get to junior high school, it's practically game over. We cannot have that. What has to happen is this. At the elementary school level, because right now, for example, every parent, Dr. O, is on class dojo, right? Their teachers are sending them messages through class dojo, anything that's happening in class, they see it, they interact with it because they want the best for their kids. So why not take this class dojo narrative and carry it through elementary school, junior high school, and beyond? I think.
By the way, I just want to interject. This is a great idea for teachers.
Of course.
This is a great idea for teachers. That I can see how really teachers can literally encourage and be in touch. But let me let you continue. Please continue.
Oh, totally. What happened is, again, is the narrative that has to change, is the mindset that has to change. Wow. People have to reach a point where they see education as like an amendment to the Constitution, man. Because you can't survive. We're moving in a world right now Dr. O, let me tell you what's going to happen here.
Mm.
We are moving in a knowledge society.
Yes.
We are moving in a space right now. Anyone who have a child or children, if you're not ready for this digital economy that's coming, you are setting your children up for failure. There's no way in 10, 20, 30 years, a kid will be able to survive on certain basic jobs people are doing because the AI is already here. Everything is becoming autonomous. You go to McDonald's now, you find one cashier. The machine is there to take care of it. You go to the train station, you got the MetroCard machine ready to go. Even the person that's selling the MetroCard, they soon get rid of that stuff. The train itself can drive itself because the AI, we reach a point in technology where the autonomous vehicles with the algorithm that we have designed, the machine can take care of these things. So people who are doing those kinds of jobs, it will become obsolete. There'll be no job like that to have. To survive out here, you're going to have to be a high-level skilled individual. So education itself has to reach a point soon where we have to do three things: skill, upskill, and reskill. And that's the reason why I built the Alchemist Club Studios to address those three major issues.
Actually, I was going to go there. I was saying, was that the inspiration behind the Alchemist Studio? Please talk about Alchemist Studio, please.
The Alchemist Club Studios, it happened by accident. When I got there in 1999, I started teaching at this school in the Bronx, PS 33, the Timothy Dwight Elementary School in the Bronx. What happened is I have a bunch of kids who just started to just want to come hang around me every time lunchtime. Wow. And I said to myself, why do these kids always want to come hang out with me? And one day I asked them, I said, wait a minute, guys, you guys have lunch downstairs. Why do you always come upstairs? They'll bring their lunch and they just want to sit there. And they say, you know what, Mr. Ronelus, I wasn't Dr. R yet. They said, Mr. Ronelus, we just like to be around you because you make science so much fun. They said, when we're around you, we're just happy to be here.
Well, are you also saying that there is an inherent desire inside the children, the kids, the students, to be interested really in the STEM? Is that also what you're saying?
My friend, what I'm telling you, take a kid to the beach. Take a kid to the beach. Just watch him for a few minutes. Watch how many seashells he's going to collect.
Wow.
This kid's a natural scientist. This kid's a natural scientist. Even Newton himself made a comment about seashells at the beach, saying that, you know, looking at the beauty of nature, whatever seashell he happened to find on the beach, he knows that nature beauty is beyond what he has gathered for himself. Because see, children are naturally inquisitive. They are naturally born as scientists. What happened is, as they go through the world, the blank slate we're supposed to prepare, and these kids are malleable and set their mindset to, they don't have to become professional scientists. What we have to do is create citizen scientists that are malleable mind, quick mind, that can think on their own, that can think on the fly. So whatever that child wants to be in life, he or she has the innate capability and the skill set to accomplish that goal. And unfortunately, education has failed them. Because you know what happened? But let me tell you something.
What happens?
If you go to the Alchemist Club Studio Lab, when you're in my room in the lab, there's no sitting down like some prisoner. No way. You don't work like that. You have the freedom to move as you see. You come in, respect yourself, respect the space, but you got to free the mind. The way the school structure is designed is all wrong. All we're doing is build androids and robots. And we wonder why these kids are trapped in. So in 1999, what I realized and what I did, I quickly realized there's a way to just allow the mind to be free. I create what I call a Vygotsky, Lev Vygotsky, which is one of the great theorists in education. I create what I would call a Vygotsky space, where I allow the mind to explore. And my job is just to guide the learner along the way. I myself in the learning space, I am a learner as everybody else. We are learning together. You might ask me a question, I have no answer. One kid asked me, where did the universe come from? How? If something created it, then who created that thing that created it? These kids are asking questions that there's no answer. And I told them, quite honestly, you can search all you want. There's a point you reach in science, we don't have any answers. And that's the way science is. Science has to be explained in a way where the kids see the beauty of it. And that's what we have to allow to happen. And when you're able to create that kind of learning space, learning will happen naturally. And that's what I've been doing in the Alchemist Club Studios. But what I did so far, Dr. O, I took the Alchemist Club Studio idea now. I'm going into something deeper now.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you share, please?
I'm creating what I'm calling a decentralized education portal via the blockchain networks.
And what is that? Yeah, can you explain? Can you break it down for some of us that are not as digital tech like you are?
No, no worry at all. I want a kid in Africa, for example, that's sitting under a baobab tree to have the same access to education as a kid that's sitting at Harvard University. And we have reached a point in the world where that's possible. You know why? Technology has flattened the world. For once, Christopher Columbus is wrong. The world is flat when it comes to technology. And it can be done. It can be done. Because you know why it can be done, Dr. O? I'm going to prove it to you very easily. When COVID happened, okay, on March 20, 2019, when to 2020 actually, March 19, 2020, when every educator in New York City Board of Education got that email that said, school will no longer be in person. Every educator will have 2 days to prep themselves ready to go fully online. I myself, as one person, I got my whole school online in less than 3 hours on Google Classroom. I've been using Google Classroom since it was an alpha tester in the system. And I used to inform the educators at my school, you guys, you gotta learn this cloud-based platform because you never know one day what might happen. Nobody listened. Only 2 teachers in the school paid attention to me. When that thing happened, I had to prep the pre-K all the way up to grade 5 educators. But I guarantee you, my man, in one day, I got everybody online on Google Classroom. And I was able to teach them how to use the system. And when we all went virtual, okay, everybody was decentralized at that point. There was no need for the district. There was no need for nothing else. Who was in charge? The Google Cloud platform was in charge, and me, who was managing all those classes. That's what happened. We saw with our own eyes, for a snippet of a time, how education can quickly become decentralized. Even right now, let's say let me give you one more point. Even right now, let's say God forbid something happened. We have to close all the schools. What's going to happen? Every kid go back virtual again. It doesn't mean it's perfect. I didn't say that. But the learning did happen. It wasn't
continuous and continues.
Okay. So eventually, as we proceed, this is where education is going. So I know where this thing is going. I am building a portal right now where you can give me all the kids in the system, man. I'll throw them in the portal. Everybody will learn.
So you remind what you just said. Dr. Frankie Nicole Weaver sent me some information today. And this information pertains to a company by the name of Nippers. I guess this educational company.
Yes.
So the co-founder, the name is Sabari Raja. So there is a code. It states it doesn't matter who is the student, where they are located, or what they look like. It does not matter. Every student has to have a level of access.
That's correct.
To professionals from all around the country and all around the world. And when you said earlier that decentralized
That's correct.
Education, what it means is just the ability to be able to teach and for education, learning to continue in regardless of centralized system.
That's correct.
And we've seen an example during this COVID or during this pandemic. So your Alchemist Studio is all about that. You
Correct.
want to create an environment whereby it doesn't matter whether the child is in Africa, in Australia, or in India or China. It does not matter.
It doesn't matter to us. No matter where the learner is, we can reach that learner.
This is good.
And we're not saying something in theory. If I have for a minute, I can share the screen and just quickly show the portal. And then, and, you know what I'm saying? So in that way, folks can see this is not something we're talking about here in theory.
Absolutely. You should be able to share, please. Go ahead.
It's something that actually exists. And this one here, let me just come back here for a minute. And if you allow me, let me share my screen. Okay, excellent. So what I have here, I'm going to share this. Can you see my screen?
Oh, yes, sir.
Excellent.
I can see it.
And by the way, I just want to articulate something here. This portal I built here, this would not be the portal I use like for public education. I just want to clear that up. Okay. This one, I built this portal a way for anyone in the world that would like to learn about blockchain, cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, all of that buzzword, metaverse, you see that's out there, NFTs. Anyone in the world that want to educate themselves on where we are heading in the Web3 world, in the metaverse, they call it, or cyberspace. This is a portal that's designed for that. Like, for example, Dr. O, as you are with us in the group, I'm going to share something with you.
Yes, sir.
A couple of days ago, we had a massive event that took place in Nigeria. The first that changed the face of Nigeria, probably forever. The reason that happened is you have this company called Web3 Delight. And what they did a massive blockchain event in Nigeria. Some of the best young minds, I'm talking about kids in Nigeria, Dr. O, who are college level kids, those who are already at universities all over Nigeria, they all attended this event, right?
Yes.
So I also attended this event. So what I did, I created what I call a group. I call it this group here. Let me go on top so you could all see it. I create this group and I call it the Nigeria Metaverse Project.
Wow.
So right now, here's the power of technology. All of those top brain, those young kids who are what Dubois would have called the talented 10th in Nigeria that are in the blockchain space. You know what happened, my man? They are all here. They are all here. In 3 days, I was able to invite all of them to the server. So we have this group here now where anything that's happening on the ground in Nigeria pertaining to blockchain, cryptocurrency, it happens here. You see the power of this thing? Power of this. So what I can do, for example, I could literally take this and I can open a university right here. Why not? Where everybody can come here to learn, because if you, whatever you're learning, and these days, Dr. O, these kids are learning more on their phone than they're learning in classrooms.
That is true.
This is how the world works.
And actually that brings me to another question.
All right.
Are you also saying, are you also suggesting that in our community,
yes,
since we're also in the digital environment or
Yes.
economy.
Yes.
So these are some of the simple things we can do with young people in our community, get them engaged.
Of course, what I'm saying here is, think of it this way. Every kid, and I know, because I'm a teacher and I see it from pre-K all the way to high school and beyond.
Yes.
Every kid is plugged into these phones, playing these video games all day. They on home playing Fortnite, they're playing Cyber World, they playing all of these games. We know, because I see it, Roblox, everything. But here's the deal. Why can't we take these games and turn them to education? Somebody might say, that's impossible. How would you do that? It's not impossible.
Okay.
It's not impossible. What I call it, I'm going to make you laugh. I can give the kid what I call chocolate covered broccoli.
Wow. I see where you're going. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But let you explain it before I
Sure. Think of it this way, right? Since they're already all plug into this game, they're learning more in Fortnite than they're learning in class. We don't see it as learning because we don't see how to take it and make it palatable for learning as if you're really learning. What I'm saying is, we can take, like I did for my doctoral degree, here's what we were able to do. I took a unit of study on dynamic ecosystems, and we created what we call a multi-user virtual game. So that means 30, 40, 50 kids can log in and play this game. And the game we did, we based it on something that is very important. We created a game called Saving the Black Rhinos. Saving the Black Rhinos. Guess what happened? When the kid avatar or character start the game, you know where they land? They land in Tanzania.
Wow.
Yes.
All the way.
Yes, because the avatar, and when they land in Tanzania, they're home, but they are in Tanzania. And the graphic is Tanzania at the national park in Tanzania. And they're going on this journey to find out why the poachers are killing these rhinos.
Wow.
And as they're going, they are interviewing people that work in the park, and they go on journey to interview people that live in the villages.
This is a metaverse kind of thing.
Yeah, metaverse. So guess what happened? Even the poachers would tell them, wow, to tell you the truth, it's not because we really want to hurt these animals, but we have nothing to eat. The situation down here on the ground is very bad. We have no money to feed our family.
Wow.
So we end up committing a crime because we just don't know what to do.
Wow.
And they go and interview all of these different government officials, and then they try to find a solution as to what can be done to protect the wildlife in Africa.
Wow, they can use this as a thesis to do research. Wow.
Okay, so this is what I mean when I say we can give them chocolate-covered broccoli. Like in my case, what that does is I have a group of kids that were learning about ecosystem, diversity, niche, community, and all those different ecological concepts. They were learning it using the textbook. But the other group of kids in the study, because remember, this was part of my doctoral study, the other group of kids, they were using the game. And guess what, my man? When it was time for us to give the assessment, because I had different metrics I was measuring. When it was time to measure content mastery in science, the kids that used the game, they did 5 times better than the kids that were using the traditional textbook.
Wow, wow.
And the level of writing, because in the game, they have to send in these reports to this fictitious character called Habib, but those reports were coming to me. But they don't know that. They believe they're really sending this report to this Habib. But I am Habib because I'm the one that's receiving it. You see what I'm talking about?
Right.
So I was able to guide them. If they wrote an essay that really needed more background, I would tell them, well, you know, you really have to talk more about X, Y, and Z. And then we would be able to send it back a dialogue until they measure up the standard, and then they would move on to the next level in the game. This is where education can go.
Okay. I want you, because of time,
yes,
I see that we can spend really 24 hours talking.
Maybe this is part one. This is part one. We'll see.
Yes, sir. You're very passionate. I will have to invite you to come back. But before I let you go,
yes,
I feel what you're doing in Alchemist Studio is really fabulous. Is really fantastic, especially as it pertains to decentralized education. By the way, when the first time you told me or you shared with me decentralized, the first thing that came to my mind is, okay, does that mean that this is a militant group or something like that? Well, I'm glad you explained it. It's not a militant group. The whole what it means is that, God forbid, we have a situation in which education doesn't go as we plan.
Correct.
So what do we do? What do we fall back to? And when it also comes, decentralized can be really very important as it pertains to connecting with people in different places in the world. Learning still has to continue.
That's right.
We cannot allow ourselves to be boxed in. We have to be able to think outside the box.
There you go.
Now, one of the questions, because I'm a parent, one question that the parents may want to ask is so let's say if my child comes to your studio, digital studio, how do I know that the child is not, somebody is not going to cyberbully?
I understand.
Or somebody is not going to take advantage of my child, steal my child's identity. So all those things that the parents are always concerned about. So how do you address that?
Very simple. Very simple. Right now, every child, I'm just using New York City Board of Education as an example. Every kid in the system, New York City Board of Education, has Google Classroom account as part of the Google Classroom G Suite Enterprise. Same thing. We have the portal. I have 3 different portals that I have. I have a portal that's with the Discord server. This is a massive thing where anyone in the world, like you said, can be there and learning with us. But as far as education is concerned, in New York City Board of Ed, I opened a portal inside New York City Board of Ed Central, where every child that's sitting in the New York City Board of Education can have access to everything I created for free. It's there for them. I even contact the chancellor. I had a chat with him. I met him at a STEM expo we went to. We won first place for the top science project. And I shook hands with the chancellor and I told him straight up, I said, of all due respect, sir, that's Chancellor Banks, that is in New York City. I said, we need to talk because there's a way out. There's a way to help and bring about a paradigm shift in education. It's already happening. We have Microsoft, a team, MS Teams. These are heavy duty, secure portals that we're already using in the system. So the idea of a kid being bullied and all of that stuff, we have metric, we have guardrails that's designed to protect children so that we don't deal with these issues. So everything is there. But for me, beyond Board of Ed and the education system, what really touched my heart and make me really push for this thing is because everyone on this planet, Dr. O, should have a fair chance. A kid should be able to sit somewhere in Nigeria, have a simple phone in his hand or tablet, and be able to learn anything anyone else in the world is learning. If that kid want to go through a Microsoft Azure track to be highly certified and create a profile on LinkedIn and have a skill that's marketable where he could be sitting in Nigeria, have companies calling him because he has earned those certificates, that's what we need to do. And that's what we do in the Alchemist Club Studios. We provide a portal for this kind of learning to happen.
Excellent. For those of you that know the know-how on what Dr. Ronelus is really talking about, these are the kind of things that we need to do in our community. But I would like to encourage you to engage Dr. Ronelus. Dr. Ronelus is one of the chief operating officer at Alchemist Studio. Please reach out to him, learn about what he's doing in his club and how to get children in our community, in the BIPOC community, really engaged. Dr. Ronelus, do you have one last message that you want to share with parents and how parents can really help their children continue to stay engaged and pursue career in college and
career readiness?
In STEM? Please go ahead.
Oh, I'll tell you one thing that keeps me up at night, especially, this is for the world, but especially for our parents in the BIPOC community. We are people of color community. We know the gravity of STEM education and the crisis we are in. We already know the technology gap is widening as we speak. The knowledge gap is widening as we speak. The danger I see is this. We are moving into space now where those who are in the know, we have a term that says, we all gonna make it. But we also have a term that says, we are not gonna make it. What that means is, we have a sliver, slight overture or an opening this blockchain has allowed us. And there's gonna be people that's going to take advantage of these opportunities and that's gonna benefit tremendously. And we, in the Black and brown community, if we do not open our eyes and learn about where this metaverse, Web3 is heading, we're gonna get left behind again. So my advice to all the parents out there, put the technology in the hands of your children, not just for them to be just all over the place misusing it. Make sure it's constructive. Make sure you're following with what your kids are doing. And I would advise every parent, keep your eye open when you hear people talking about blockchain, NFT, cryptocurrency, and Web3. Listen, and you yourself trying to learn as much as you can. This work is going to be posted. Dr. Ayo is going to post it on his LinkedIn profile. Yes. I will be posting it all over social media. Yes. And my name is Dr. Ronelus. I'll spell it for you. Is R as in Robert, O as in open, N as in Nancy, E as in Eve, L as in Larry, U as in umbrella, S as in Sam. You can Google me. You'll see the Alchemist Club Studio. You can also go to our website, www.alchemistclubstudios.com. And you can see the metaverse that I'm building for education, and my email is there. You can reach out to me. It would be an honor to help as much as I can, because what I see coming, we only have two ways. It's either we're going to get on board or get thrown overboard. And I don't want our people to get thrown over.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ronelus. I really appreciate that. Pleasure. And I want to say thank you to all of our communities that are watching this interview, this show. The purpose of this show and a space like this is to try to engage our people as it pertains to college and career readiness in STEM. All hands have to be on the deck now. All hands have to be on the deck. And we as a community, we really don't have an excuse. Look, if an engineer, a student that just graduated from engineering school with his first degree has the potential of making more money than me as a teacher. The median salary, the latest statistics that I got, median salary for STEM, for people in the STEM field, is $91,000 a year. I think we can do better as a community. So we need to encourage our children to seriously consider STEM or STEAM. A lot of time we talk about STEM, but there is also STEAM, whereby now you're integrating arts, right? So someone in visual arts actually makes a lot of money. Think about those people that make the films, the movies that we watch, the children's movie that we watch, like the Avatar, right? And all of us know about the Avatar, the movie, right? Or Thor, right? They make a lot of money. So we need to encourage our young children to pursue, to consider career and college readiness in the STEM and STEAM field so that the next generation can be in a better position. There are no excuses.
No excuse.
Okay, so this is the first show, and please bear with me. I'm a little rusty, but as time goes on, I'm hoping to be better. If you want to come on the show, I'm on LinkedIn too. So just look me up. So I am Dr. Olufade. Just type Ayo Olufade. You're going to, my profile is there. I am on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me. Just shoot me a mail. And then let me know that you're interested. And I'm looking for people that will come on this show so that we can make our community a better community. Thank you so much, Dr. Ronelus.
Pleasure.
And I will be talking to you at the other end. Thank you so much, sir.
You got it.
Bye-bye.